Anthony Ipanish.
Oh, I thought it was going to be BPA.
No, you're waiting for him. Huh?
I am.
Love him. Well, I tell you who is on the line, and I know where I'm going next. Know who is on the line.
Don't give me false equivalencies.
Is it Brianna?
He's not on the line. No, not Brianna. Has she slid into your DMs?
Anthony, slide in the DMs to say hi.
No.
I don't know people.
I guess you're not saying love it.
No.
Anthony, what's happening, man? Anthony, what's happening?
I'm here, man. Top of the morning, fellas. So first of all, listen here, fans that call the radio station and bother my boys. We don't get out of our bed at 3:30 in the morning from our beautiful women to hear this nonsense. So if you're gonna call with some stuff, because I'm not trying to hear it, man. And I know we all have beautiful women, and you know exactly what I'm talking about. So check this out. The Warriors have a Steve Kerr problem, and I haven't heard a caller really call and really say it that way. I just don't believe that Steve Kerr is willing to get out of his own way. I've said this before, and I really think it's rearing its ugly head. And I believe that the players the youngsters are ready to contribute. But if you have a boss, you have a foreman, you have someone that is not allowing you to get the opportunities, your growth will be stunted. And it's unfortunate that that's what's going on, because we are playing these younger teams that have younger, bigger, faster, athletic guys. And I watched that game last night before I laid down, and I was looking at, although the Blazers aren't the best team, you can see the discrepancy in the athleticism. Mm-hmm. So I know we are trying to throw out solutions, but the only solution that I can see is Steve Kerr has to get his head out of his rear end, and he has to make the tough decisions, because it shouldn't be this hard to have a conversation with guys that you've been working with for the last 10, 12, 13 years. At some point, you have to say, guys, listen, I and you guys want to win. And the best way for us to do that is to incorporate these young guys. And you have to give them the opportunity, because when we see them play, they're clearly ready, fellas.
Yeah.
But that's all I got. Leave my boys alone, man. Straight up.
No, I hear you. It's a good call, Anthony.
Really
you always make good calls here. Look, the one big lineup, you may have to go to that with this team. The Looney-Draymond pairing defensively, offensively, it's just not working. Again, they got the 10th worst net rating starting lineup in the league. Last year, they were the best in the league. So that's not working. Moody and Kuminga provide athleticism. They get the 50-50 balls. They provide juice. They provide, Jonathan Kuminga get up and goes and dunks. So if you need to change the starting lineup, bench Clay, then so be it. Bench Clay. Bench Wiggins. Steve Kerr's got to figure this out. We've got to get the most out of this roster right now. You have to maximize the roster. What's the best way of maximizing this roster? Maybe it's benching Clay and Wiggins. Maybe it's benching Wiggins. Maybe it's just benching Clay. I don't know. But Steve Kerr, to me, yesterday, I'm not going to lie, I'm kind of like Anthony. When I went home and I thought about that game and watched that game, I was more disappointed in Steve than I was in the actual players. Because I looked at the first half and said, damn. First of all, after the first quarter, I said, Mully, man, Kuminga didn't play in the first quarter. Damn, Kuminga didn't play in the first half. And then I tweeted at halftime, and even now halftime live, we only had about 2 minutes halftime live. They're very quick segments. But I was like, maybe you need some energy, because Kuminga was, Festus was talking about energy. Willer's like, yes, they need energy. You need energy. The second half, I said, well, maybe you dust off Jonathan Kuminga. I said that on TV going into the break, into the second half. And then he doesn't play, and they fall down 11. And then, as you know, he dusts off Kuminga, and he doesn't leave the floor. So I just think on this roster, looking at the roster construction, Kuminga has to be in the rotation somehow, some way. I don't care if he plays bad or not. He's got to play through the mistakes. You got to see what you got. Here's a lottery pick, for crying out loud, a top 7 pick. You didn't do it with James Wiseman. You moved off to Jordan Poole. Can we just see it with Kuminga and Moody for 20 minutes a night for a 2-week stretch? Can I just see it?
I've been begging for it, but it's got to come at the expense of other people. And I think this is the easy thing to say out loud and the hard thing to do in reality, right? So, it's easy for Joe Shasky to sit here and be like, play this guy, sit that guy, play that guy. Dude, there's loyalties. We all have this in our lives.
There is locker room
We have a lot of
decorum.
loyalties. So, for example, there are certain friends that I have in my life where I understand what they mean to me. And maybe other people in my life don't understand the backdrop of what they mean to me. And they're like, why do you keep that guy around? It's like, well, you don't understand, what that person, that person will kill for me. And that person will do whatever, at the drop of a hat will come and help me and my family at any period, at any point in life. When I was at my lowest, they were there for me. You maybe don't see it. And yeah, they got some flaws, but I feel a loyalty and a sense of indebtedness to those people. I can understand from Steve Kerr's point of view, feeling a loyalty and a sense of obligation to ride with certain players on the team, no matter who it is. Loon, Wiggs, Steph, CP3, Clay, whoever, and to varying degrees for all of those guys. But part of why you get paid the big bucks and part of why you're in the most difficult position as the coach allocating minutes is to make those tough decisions. Well, your best asset is your communication.
Well, maybe Steve Kerr's pressing, too, because he's in a contract season.
There's no doubt.
He doesn't know what his future holds. He doesn't know if he's going to be on the bench for the Golden State Warriors next season.
He just might think different from you and me. Yeah, he might actually think their best course of action is going with those guys.
No, it is. He just said that last week on Willard to Dibs.
And I disagree.
He said that last week on Willard to Dibs. Now, yesterday he said, this is what he said last night after the game.
We talk about it every day. I've really been patient and hoping to get our first unit, from the last couple of years into a good groove. It's just easier to play and to coach when everybody knows exactly where they fit in. Role players, it's easier to play a role when kind of a set rotation and, the stars are playing well and all that. So everything, the puzzle kind of fits. So to be honest, the puzzle hasn't fit this year. And we've had a lot of guys playing well, but we may have to think about, moving the starting lineup around game to game, depending on who we're facing. I'd still prefer to get something solid, but we haven't really established anything this year. And we're a quarter of the way through. So there's definitely, a lot of thought that's going to have to go into this.
So something I expressed a couple of weeks ago when it comes to maximizing Klay Thompson. All right, I get what he is. I know what he isn't. All right, we talk about that every day. We know what it is. But how do I maximize and get the most out of him during that contract season? My thought was, and I expressed this to you a couple of weeks ago, if you play him next to CP3 and Dario Saric, will he get more spacing on the floor? Will he be able to get more? Now, teams are still going to face guard him, and they're going to say, Klay, you can't shoot. But maybe that opens it up for CP3 and Saric and whoever else is playing alongside those two, whether it's Podziemski, whether it's Kuminga, whether it's Moody. Klay's presence is still a factor towards other teams. They're still face guarding him, and they're not giving him an inch of breathing room. So that is still something valuable. That is valuable to this team, and that's valuable to an NBA team, and that's valuable inside that locker room. But to get the most out of him, maybe it is playing with CP3 and Dario Saric. Think about all the assists CP3 had with Klay Thompson. He plays very well with him. That's what I'm saying. So if you're maximizing Klay Thompson, then maybe you do slot him to the bench. And I don't think it's a big deal because if he still sees his 27 minutes, I think everybody be happy. That's what it is. That's why the youngsters are a little frustrated because they don't know how many minutes they're going to play. If you let them know how many, if Kuminga knows, whenever he knows he's playing 20 minutes, he goes out there with his head on fire and he's attacking the glass. He's playing defense because he knows he's going to play. He knew he was going to play without Wiggins and CP3. Now, yesterday you get him and he doesn't play, and it's like, boy, we're down 11. Kuminga, can you save us? And he saved you. Now, Steph Curry was cooking in the third quarter, but Kuminga came in and complimented him very well. I think Klay can compliment Saric and CP3 very well. So if that means moving him to the bench, then so be it, he moves to the bench. But what's going to happen here? I'm just warning everybody. What's going to happen here, if you don't win games and he's not finishing, there's going to be another problem within the locker room. And we're going to have other issues, all right? We're going to have other issues if CP3, if Wiggins, if Klay, if veterans are not able to close and they're not winning games and the youngsters are in, then we're going to have another problem down the line. So it's just something to be very careful with. Okay. That's all I'm saying.
So you're facing, I'm going to give you the hypothetical because you keep coming back to the closing. It's a tie game. Yep. There's a minute to go. Everyone's available. There's no foul trouble across the board. You're playing the Denver, I'm going to say Denver Nuggets, okay, just as an example. Who are the five guys on the floor?
I don't know. Depends on the game, and it depends on the flow. That's what Steve Kerr said, and that's what I subscribe to. I subscribe to who's playing well. Like last Tuesday night, Moody was playing very well. 4:26 left. He subs in Wiggins and takes out Moody. And I said on a set and post-game show to Monty and Fezzi, I said, I don't care who came out, whether it was Wiggins or Klay. Moody cannot leave that basketball game. So he didn't touch the rim in the fourth quarter.
But your reluctance, which is an honest one, because I think a lot of Warrior fans would have the same answer, your reluctance to have even like 3 locked-in names off the bat.
Well, I mean, it's Steph and Dre, obviously.
But the other 3, we would all agree.
It's up in the air.
Okay.
It's up in the air.
So using that formula, how many other top 5 teams on the East and the West have that same issue.
Not a lot of teams.
I don't think
the Lakers switch it up sometimes. Sometimes D'Lo doesn't start. Sometimes he doesn't finish. Sometimes he does finish. Sometimes Cam Reddish is finished. Sometimes he doesn't. Sometimes Taurean Prince finishes. Sometimes he doesn't. You know what I'm saying? Every team is different. The Suns, we know the constants. We know the constants with a lot of these teams. The constants are the superstars.
Yeah, but I would also counter with, like, for example, the 2 players you referenced with the Lakers are better than your 2 players, right?
No doubt. But Draymond and Curry are going to finish.
No doubt.
On his team.
No doubt. Well, Klay's finished every game he's played, basically.
Yeah, basically. Now, he didn't get in until late yesterday, and that was good. But I'm just saying, if a guy like Klay and Wiggins don't finish, and Chris Paul doesn't finish, and the youngsters are finished ahead of them in a pecking order in closing time, and if they're not being consistent when it comes to wins and losses, there's going to be another problem for Steve down the line.
Yeah, but like,
now, I'm just saying, I know what you're going to get into. I know what you're going to say, but I'm just telling you, this is what's going to happen with this basketball team.
Well,
and that's going to be a problem for Steve later on. So I get why Steve is tap dancing around the starters and who's finishing and who's not finishing, because feelings are going to get hurt.
I mean, but
you better win. But when you do this, though,
Kuminga's feelings weren't great.
Yeah, no doubt. But he doesn't have the loyalty to Kuminga that he does of Klay Thompson.
No doubt. But right now, like, if they want to be good, like, a better version of Kuminga might be more impactful than a slightly better version of Klay Thompson
and Andrew Wiggins. Because don't forget about Andrew Wiggins. It's not Andrew. It's just not Klay.
I'm just using
that's what I'm saying. We want to be fair here with the criticism. I don't like when we do this in sports. We point at one guy. We do it in every single sport and point at one guy. Wiggins has not been good this year.
No.
And he's got a 4-year contract with $109 million left. And he has not been good this year.
Yeah, but with Wiggins, we don't even think twice about his emotions and how he'll feel because he hasn't closed a couple games.
Well, that's a problem then.
What?
What do you mean? That's a problem then.
No, I'm saying we don't think about it. Like, we just say, oh, if he deserves to be on the bench, he deserves to be on the bench. There were 2 or 3 early in the season that they closed out where he was on the bench, and he had to just suck it up and take it.
But you know what, though? They were winning. They were winning. Had they lost those games, what would the answer have been from Andrew Wiggins?
I don't know, but my retort would be like, then play better. Like, that would be my retort to any of these guys. You want to finish? Play better. I mean, it's pretty a meritocracy to me. Like, it's pretty straightforward. You play better, you deserve it.
Right.
Like, I'm very form-based right now. But
you're asking a question here. If you do go that route, because I'm with you going down that route. I have no problem going down that route. But you better win if you go down that route. Man, and if you're Steve Kerr, you better win if you go down that route. Because if you don't win, there's going to be other issues. Now the veterans are going to be grumbling because they've been in the league and they've proven more than the youngsters. That's how the veterans are going to feel. You know that's what's going to happen.
Monte, the veterans have kind of like quietly caused a storm for multiple seasons in a row and haven't brought it. So right now, don't really care. Me, just Warrior fan Joe, don't really care if the veterans are upset because they're not playing good enough.
So if they don't win, what are you going to do? You're going to go back to the veterans?
Well, right now they're not winning.
I'm saying it. If they don't win with the youngsters,
you have no other option.
I know what they are now. I know what they are now, but what if they don't win with the youngsters? I'm just saying. Now you're going to have another issue in your hands.
The youngsters are in the exact same spot record-wise where they're at now.
So then what do you do? Well,
then you look outside and you try to make some trades because that's really your only other option.
That's all I'm asking.
I mean, I don't know what else to say.
No, I'm just saying, within that locker room, if you do this now, because this is a big move, obviously, because Steve Kerr's been hesitant to do it. Now he's admitting, you know what? I've tried to be patient. We may have to look elsewhere. Now, if you do that and you don't win, now we got another problem.
That's all I'm saying,
Jesse. I know. That's all I'm saying. I hear it. We're saying the same thing.
Yeah, I agree. Didn't play at all for 30 minutes.
I agree with what you're saying.
And then he went out there and kicked butt.
He did.
Right? And so I credit the young man. We didn't go, what? Kuminga's losing his mind on the bench. And this, that, and the other. Like,
well, he lost his mind last year. He was not happy. He had the article with CJ Holmes.
And we crushed him for it.
He had the article with CJ Holmes.
And we crushed him for it.
Why did we crush him for it? Because he didn't have the built-in equity.
Well, and also because we were looking at it big picture, like, well, now you're thinking about the me and not the we.
Exactly. Now, I'm just saying, we do this because I'm open to doing it. I am open to doing this. But boy, if you do it and you don't win games, there's going to be blowback. It is what